6. Felons face judgment, their reactions after the judge speaks. If you think justice is quiet, think again. What you're about to see will make you question everything you know about guilt, loyalty, and fear. Hit that subscribe button before we dive in, because this one isn't just a story, it's real. The courtroom was silent except for the faint hum of the overhead lights. Rows of family members sat frozen, their eyes locked on the 6 men seated before the judge. Each one wore the same gray suit and the same steel cuffs around their wrists, but their faces told 6 different stories: defiance, regret, anger, terror, disbelief, and something else entirely. These were the Riverside 6, once a feared crew in Chicago's underworld. For years, they ran drugs, guns, and extortion rackets through the city's south side, until one night in 2021, everything fell apart. A warehouse explosion took the lives of 2 undercover officers and left behind a single burning question: who planted the bomb? The prosecution claimed it was the 6 men sitting in that courtroom. The defense argued it was a setup, that someone else had pulled the strings and let them take the fall. But after 2 years of testimony, evidence, and more than 40 witnesses, the verdict was about to be read. Judge Raymond Cole adjusted his glasses, looking down at the stack of papers before him. This court, he began slowly, finds the defendants: Miguel Soto, Derek Lane, Travis Cole, Ronnie Morales, Leon Drake, and Corey Barnes, guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Miguel's mother let out a cry from the gallery, muffled by the hands of a relative. Derek shook his head and muttered, No, this ain't right." Travis leaned back, exhaling through his nose like a man who'd already accepted his fate. But what happened next made the entire courtroom fall into chaos. As the judge began to read the sentences, life imprisonment without parole, one of the defendants, Leon Drake, suddenly stood. "No!" he shouted, voice cracking. "You can't do this! You don't know what happened that night!" Deputies rushed toward him, but Leon didn't stop. "We didn't kill those cops!" he yelled. "It wasn't us! You need to look at the footage, the real footage." The judge slammed his gavel. "Order!" But Leon's next words froze everyone. "The man who planned it is sitting right in this courtroom." Gasps erupted. The crowd turned, eyes scanning the room. The prosecutors looked confused. Even the defense attorneys were speechless. Deputies dragged Leon back into his seat, but not before he looked directly at someone in the front row. A man in a black suit with a silver tie. The man didn't move. He just smirked. The moment was caught by several news cameras. By evening, that smirk would be playing on every local TV station, every YouTube crime channel, and every social media feed. But at that moment, inside the courtroom, the air turned electric. Judge Cole called for a brief recess, and the defendants were escorted out. The families of the victims stared in shock. Whispers spread like wildfire. Who was the man Leon was pointing at? Minutes later, in the holding area, Leon's attorney, Lisa Torres, burst through the door. "What were you thinking?" she hissed. "You just made things worse." Leon's breathing was heavy. "You don't get it," he said. "They set us up. Miguel had proof. He showed me the files before the fire." Lisa frowned. "What files?" Leon looked up at her, his face pale. "Video footage from the warehouse. It showed someone else planting the explosives, but that file never made it into evidence." Lisa's voice dropped. "Who had it last?" Leon's eyes narrowed. "Corey. But he swore he gave it to his lawyer, and then his lawyer died in that car crash last year." Lisa froze. "The crash on I-90? Leon nodded. "That wasn't an accident." Outside the courtroom, reporters were already spinning headlines. Gang leader accuses mystery man during sentencing. Courtroom erupts as convict points finger at unknown insider. But the most chilling part wasn't the accusation, it was the reaction. Because the man in the black suit, the one Leon had accused, was later seen leaving the courthouse surrounded by 2 plainclothes officers. No one stopped him. No one asked his name. And in a leaked photo taken by a journalist across the street, that same man was seen getting into an unmarked car with government plates. By the time the judge reconvened court, the man was gone. As the 6 felons were brought back in, Leon refused to sit down. "You're all being played," he said, his voice breaking. "You think this ends with us? Look deeper. Look at who's funding this case." Judge Cole's patience finally broke. "Mr. Drake, if you speak again, I'll hold you in contempt." Leon smiled, but it wasn't defiance. It was pity. "I'm not the one you should be afraid of," he said quietly. The courtroom fell silent once more. From the gallery, Miguel's mother whispered a prayer. Derek stared at the judge, trembling, and somewhere in the back, a reporter scribbled down a line that would later make national headlines. 6 men sentenced today, but one truth buried alive. As the courtroom emptied and the 6 men were led away in chains, Lisa Torres lingered behind, staring at the now empty front row where the man in the black suit had sat. She turned to a bailiff. "Who was sitting there earlier?" The bailiff frowned. That section was reserved for the prosecution's special advisor. "Name?" He checked his clipboard. "Daniel R. Calloway, Department of Homeland Security." Lisa's pulse quickened. "That's impossible," she whispered. "He's supposed to be dead." The bailiff blinked. "Well, he just walked out of here alive." And just like that, what be? A man in a suit, no mask. He gave a signal with his hand, then walked toward the back of the warehouse. The camera caught only part of his face, but it was enough. Lisa froze the frame. The scar, the same scar, Daniel Calloway. And right before the explosion that destroyed the warehouse, the man in the suit got into the van and drove away. Lisa's hands trembled. The file was real. Leon had been telling the truth. Before she could process what to do next, her office lights flickered. The screen went black for a split second. Then a pop-up appeared. "Delete this file. You're being watched." Her breath hitched. The cursor moved on its own, hovering over the delete button. She slammed the laptop shut and yanked the power cord out. Seconds later, there was a knock on the door. "Lisa, you in there?" It was Detective Paul Hines, her old contact in the Chicago PD. She opened the door, still shaken. "Paul, someone just hacked my computer." He frowned. "You sure? That's a big claim." "I saw the footage, Paul. The real footage. Calloway's alive. He was at the warehouse before it blew up." Paul's eyes widened. "Calloway? That's impossible. Not if the crash was staged." Paul closed the blinds and lowered his voice. "Lisa, I need to tell you something. Last night, one of your clients, Travis Cole, was transferred out of county prison. No authorization, no paperwork." "What do you mean transferred?" "I mean gone, vanished. No guards reported it. Cameras went offline for 45 minutes. The system says he's still in his cell, but he's not." Lisa sat back, stunned. "They're cleaning up witnesses." Paul nodded grimly. "And you're next if you're not careful." That night, Lisa didn't go home. She drove across town to a motel under a fake name, carrying nothing but a USB backup of the video. Every shadow outside her window looked like a threat. Every car T, because the people you're exposing are already watching us. Outside, a black SUV was parked across the street. Inside, 2 men in suits were watching through tinted glass. One of them spoke into a radio. "Target located, awaiting clearance." The other man, older, scar under his left eye, smiled faintly. "Daniel Calloway." "Let them talk," he said. "The truth always makes the fall sweeter." The car pulled away, disappearing into the traffic. And in that moment, Lisa realized the truth wasn't just dangerous. It was alive, hunting her every move. The rain was relentless that morning, the kind of gray Chicago drizzle that soaked through everything and blurred the skyline into a fog of steel and silence. Lisa Torres sat in her car, parked 3 blocks from the FBI's downtown office. Her fingers tightened around a small USB drive. Inside it was the truth, the real Riverside warehouse footage, the photos, and the proof that Daniel Calloway, the man declared dead 2 years ago, was not only alive but working with someone deep inside the government. Beside her sat investigative journalist Rachel Dunn, her camera bag on the floor, her expression tight but determined. "Once we upload this," Rachel said quietly, "there's no going back." Lisa nodded. That's the point. They'd spent 3 days gathering everything: court records, financial links, surveillance shots, and testimonies from anyone brave enough to talk. What they uncovered was worse than either of them imagined. The Riverside 6 had never planted that bomb. The explosion was orchestrated by a covert task force under Calloway's direction. It was meant to destroy a shipment of stolen weapons that had been secretly moved by the government itself, weapons that weren't supposed to exist. But the operation went wrong. 2 undercover officers died, and Calloway needed scapegoats. The 6 men were perfect. Every server it touches pings back to us. You upload it, and you hand over the location of everyone you've sent it to. Lisa's pulse raced. "You're lying." He reached into his coat and pulled out a phone. On its screen, a digital map pulsed with red dots. "See for yourself. You've already given us 3 locations." Rachel grabbed Lisa's arm. "We can't stop now. If we back out, no one will ever know." Lisa hesitated. Her eyes darted to the monitors. 98%, 99%. Then, just as the upload hit 100%, the lights went out. The building plunged into darkness. A split second later, the monitors flickered back on. But instead of their video, a black screen appeared with white text. "Unauthorized transfer intercepted. System locked." Lisa's chest tightened. No, Calloway sighed. "You really thought you could outsmart a system built to protect itself?" Rachel clenched her fists. "We'll find another way." Calloway gave a small, almost sad smile. "There is no other way. Because you're not fighting men anymore. You're fighting ghosts. The ones who built the truth you're chasing." He turned toward the door. "Walk away, Ms. Torres. Forget this. You'll live longer." Lisa stepped forward. "You killed 2 innocent officers. You destroyed 6 lives. And you expect me to stay quiet?" Calloway paused, then looked back. "Those officers weren't innocent. They found something they shouldn't have, and so did you." Before anyone could move, he disappeared into the rain. The silence that followed was deafening. Rachel broke it first. The upload didn't go through, but the backup did. Jordan sent a mirror file to a European network before it locked. Lisa turned sharply. "You're sure?" He nodded. "It's out there. Someone's going to see it." Hours later, news outlets across Europe began broadcasting fragments of the footage. Within minutes, the clip went viral.